Hello, friends. The 954th day of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues. Russian troops, according to the military telegram channel Deep State, have advanced in the Tsukuriny area in the Pokrovsk direction. They entered the village from the south and north. From the east, the Russians have come close to Kurakovy, reports Bild military observer Julian Rupp. He writes that in the video from Ukrainian drones, Russian troops are already 2 kilometers from the city, although 2 weeks ago they were 8 kilometers away. The Ukrainian military also wrote about this advance yesterday. Soldier Bonyatov wrote that the Russians were able to push through some positions in the direction of Kurakovy during the assault on armored vehicles. He believes that it will be difficult for the Russians to storm Kurakovy head-on, and therefore they first want to capture Maximilianivka, which is already being heavily stormed from the Gostry side, and then try to break through to the village of Dalny, and from there develop an offensive in the direction of Bogoyavlenka in order to threaten the encirclement of a number of villages, forcing the Ukrainian armed forces to leave the pocket. This morning, the enemy's mechanized assaults continued. In turn, Russian military telegram channels write that the Russians have consolidated their positions in Ostrovsky and thereby cut off the supply route of the Ukrainian armed forces in the area of the Vovcha River. Because of this, the Ukrainian group in Gurnik and Kurakivka is now being supplied along the last road, which goes north of the Kurakovy reservoir. They write that the Russians are heavily attacking in the direction of this route, and, in general, to the south in the direction of Kurakovy. There are reports that the Russians have already captured most of the village of Tsukuriny, which is located between Gurnik and Siladovy. Currently, fighting is underway behind the railroad in the area of the poultry farm. The complete capture of Tsukuriny and further advancement to the southwest towards the Kurakovy reservoir and further west will create a threat of encirclement of the Ukrainian troops who are still holding the line in Gurnik and nearby Kurakivka. This will also create a threat of entering the rear of Kurakovy from the west. Southeast of Kurakovy, Russian troops have advanced towards Katerinivka, Deep State reports. That is, they are trying to break through to Kurakovy from the south, east and north. The story continues with the 72nd Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, which defended Vuhledar, complaining about the shortage of soldiers and fatigue. It is reported that now it is being transferred to new positions without any rotations, reports military correspondent Yulia Kirienko-Maranova. The 72nd Brigade was told to take positions that the 123rd Brigade of the Mykolaiv Territorial Defense refuses to take. This unit was supposed to support the 72nd Brigade in Vuhledar. But the Territorial Defense Infantry fled. And then, the battalion commander of the 123rd Brigade shot himself. Because of them, the 72nd Brigade delayed its exit from Vuhledar. Because they hoped, she writes. And she confirms that there was no official command to leave the city, as the military said. Although the operational command, Kortitsia, stated that there was a command. The retreat took place with losses. In general, during the service in the 72nd Brigade, some of the 7 battalions had no infantry left. However, they were again put into positions without rest. I think you can imagine what the moral and psychological state of the fighters is. Even commanders write reports about their removal from command, writes Kirienko-Maranova. Returning to the 123rd Brigade, today, it became known that about 100 soldiers of the 187th Battalion refused to carry out a combat mission and voluntarily left the military unit in Donbas, writes the Ukrainian publication Suspilny. The fighters went to a rally to declare insufficient training and a lack of weapons to participate in combat operations. I repeatedly contacted them, even to my section, for which I was responsible. I asked to provide weapons. They answered me that we do not have them, we cannot provide them. And then Donbas, and with what? Said the serviceman. At the same time, the head of the Psychological Support Department for personnel of the Territorial Defense Forces Command Pokalski, said that the unit is fully equipped with weapons and military equipment, and the fighters face criminal liability. Journalist Boyko, who serves in the ranks of the armed forces of Ukraine, confirmed that the battalion commander of the 86th Battalion of the 123rd Territorial Defense Brigade shot himself. According to Boyko, the 33-year-old battalion commander committed suicide on October 2 after his battalion fled from its positions near Vuhledar. He reports that he shot himself after formation. When the fighters dispersed, they heard a shot. In the Kupyansk section of the Kharkiv direction, the enemy advanced to the outskirts of Kupyansk. Here, Russian units were able to practically reach the Oskil River. There are about 2 kilometers left to the river. Because of this, Ukrainian troops east of Oskil can no longer use the bypass road. In the event of reaching the river, the Russians will have 2 options for the direction of attack. The first, to the north towards Kupyansk, but to take it, more serious reserves are needed than the Russian forces currently have in this area. The second, to move south towards Borova. Here, the garrison of the Ukrainian armed forces is significantly inferior to Kupyansk. Friends, this channel exists solely thanks to your support. If you have the opportunity and desire to support the channel, I will be very grateful to you. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.